Hey y'all, it's Infinite Enzo and Wolfman Walsh, and we are back at it once again. In this video, we are going to go through my collection. In the previous video, we went through Wolfman Walsh's. I'll put a link up at the top of the screen here if you want to check that one out. I recommend that you do. But right now, we're going to jump into my collection. So stick around, guys. We'll see you there. All right, y'all, so what we're doing today is we're going to be ranking my collection on the basis of a tier list. Now, I got this idea from Metal Complex, who did an open tag of he did his own tier list video, and he just said, anybody that wants to do this, feel free to kind of pile on. So that's what we're doing today. So the way that a tier list works, if you haven't seen one before, we have multiple classes here. At the very top, we have the S tier, which is any knife that is just really remarkable, really fantastic, incredibly well made, and just a joy to own. Below that tier we have the A tier, which is also very well made, not quite the level of fit and finish or quality that the S tier has. Below that we have the B tier, which is a good knife, it's reliable. There's something about it that really sparks interest for you. Beneath that we have the C tier, which is fine, totally fine. Probably a little bit boring, not super exciting, but it gets the job done. Beneath that we have D tier, which is just bad. Not super interesting. Maybe it does its job okay, but for whatever reason, you're not crazy about it. And then, of course, below that is the F tier, which sucks. Shouldn't exist, and it's a shame that it does exist. So without further ado, guys, we're just going to jump right into it.
And again, these are completely subjective.
So yeah, we're not taking any sort of, it's basically based on our relationship with each knife. So I'm actually going to start off with a great one here. This is the Spyderco S110V Native 5. This was a gift from my good buddy Corey, who lives in Colorado and is fortunate enough to get to attend the Spyderco second sales, where you can get some amazing deals on great Spydercos. And while he was there, he picked this one up for me, and it's been fantastic. I really think, in terms of a pocket knife, this knife is an example of a nearly perfect pocket knife. So this one's, it's not going to get an S, but it is going to get an A. Love the Spyderco S110V Native 5. All right, y'all, this one might surprise some folks. This is the Kershaw CQC 11K. This is an Ernest Emerson design, as you can see from his logo there on the blade. Really fantastic design. Now, I will say, this knife has been heavily modded. It doesn't look anything like this stock. Just real quick, we did an acid wash on the blade, on the handle. These scales have been dyed a deep burgundy kind of red, and there's a choil that's been ground out right here so you can grip up on it. It doesn't have that stock, so it is quite different. But because of everything I've been through with this knife, all of the modding I've done to it, and just all of the abuse that it is stood up against, this is going to be an S class. The Kershaw CQC 11K.
I was like, this better be an S.
I'm glad to hear you agree with me on that.
I'm disappointed right off the bat.
Okay, guys, we're going to do one now that Wolfman did himself. The Zero Tolerance 0562 CF. So in this one we have a 20 CV steel, titanium handle, and a carbon fiber. Now this is not the stock carbon fiber, but the stock version is of course a black carbon fiber. But a carbon fiber scale on the presentation side. Again, the hardware's been changed on this one. It's been fairly modded. That said, I do differ with Walsh a little bit on his opinion on this knife, but I do understand where he's coming from with it. For me, this knife is going to be an A, just because of the action and just the overall appearance of it. I just think it has a really great appearance. I really like that Rick Hinderer design. And yeah, so this one's gonna be an A for the Zero Tolerance 0562. All right, up next. This one might upset some people. The Benchmade Super Freak in M4.
I might be one of those people.
I like it. I really do like it. It just doesn't have the magic for me that it seems to have for a lot of people. I do love that it's an M4, and I respect Benchmade for, bringing M4 to a mass-produced knife. I really do. And I'll say the G10 handles are really well radiused. It just fits in the hand fantastically. I'll give it all of those points, but just for some reason, it just doesn't grab me. Now I am holding on to it because I know it's a great knife. It's just not grabbing me. It's not igniting that spark for me, that spark of joy. So it's going to be a B on the Benchmade Super Freak.
I can respect it.
All right, let's see what's up next. Ooh, I got a good one. Okay, this one's a little bit out of left field. This is the Tucson TS232. Bad name, great knife though. Tucson needs to work on their knives. They're kind of like ZT, where it's just a bunch of numbers and letters. Okay, let's just take a moment to appreciate these handles. I mean, good gracious. Scalloped titanium. I refer to that as a cathedral jigging because the way the rays sort of get larger as they go down the handle, it kind of reminds me of
You're not the first person to call it that.
Okay.
I've heard someone else call it.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. The name works then. It's just a really well-made knife, and it's astonishingly well-made at the price point that I got it for. I got it for $55. But what we have here is 14C28 in steel. As I said, titanium handle scales, titanium pocket clip, and that's pretty much it. It has an over travel stop as well. It's really well made. The action is really nice. The blade shape is unusual. Everything about it is unusual. So for me, this is an S-class knife.
Really?
Really. Yeah, it's just been one that from the moment I got it, I absolutely loved it. So that is the Tucson TS232.
Now, I'm doing it now. I'm sure he did it when I was doing this, but he's talking about the knives, and I've already given it a grade in my head, and I'm going, I wonder what
You need to let me know,
what
though.
he's-
Tell me, what do you think?
that was an A.
Okay.
I was like, that's an A.
Yeah.
But I know you love that knife.
I love it.
And for me, I think it looks like feathers. It looks like a wing, like a
Yeah, it does
titanium
look like a wing,
of
though.
some
I've
sort.
never thought about that.
And it's a beautiful knife. And just on looks alone, I hate to give it a bias. It looks wonderful. It looks wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a great look. It's an A just on its looks. But
Okay.
Yeah, no, S.
It does something for me too. I'm a big Final Fantasy nerd, and for some reason that knife just makes me think of that series. I don't know why, but. All right, guys. So up next is kind of an old soldier in the knife world. We all know this one. This is a more modernized version of the Buck 110, and of course I've done some stuff to it to make it even more modern. Hopefully that doesn't upset anybody, but come on, guys. This is the plastic handle version. Y'all can't get too mad at me. The standard version I don't own for some reason. I would love to get a classic Buck 110, but for whatever reason I never have. This one, however, was a limited run by SK Blades. Rest in peace. I miss SK Blades so much. I wish they were still in business. And for that reason, it is a never sell for me, just because you're not going to see knives from SK Blades. It seems that you're not going to see them around too much more often.
Now, before you give us your rating,
Yeah.
does never sell automatically mean S?
No, it does not.
Okay,
it does not.
Just making sure.
Actually, this will prove that.
Okay.
There's a lot of knives you're going to see some F knives that are never sells for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. What we have here is CPM 154, fantastic steel, one of my favorites, with a Paul Bose heat treat. I mean, what's not to love about that? Well, let me tell you. For whatever reason, this knife has pretty bad lock rock. And granted, with an old school knife with a lockback design, that's acceptable to some degree. But I don't know, for a Buck 110, it kind of bummed me out. I do expect some side to side, that's fine. But there's a bit of lock rock. The plastic handles are, they're plastic. It's a great knife. I use it for yard work mainly. That's what I use this knife for. It goes into my pocket when I'm going to be spending the day doing yard work. I have made some little mods to it. I tapped it for a pocket clip. I put a thumb stud up here at the top. And no, other than that, that's about it. So it's been modernized a bit. So this one's going to be getting a C. The Buck 110 from SK Blades. Still love it. It's just not in that B territory for me or any higher. What do you think?
I was guessing you were going to go B at first, and then listening to you talk, as he's going to go C.
All right, guys, this one, kind of funky. This is the Tangram, what is this one called? It's not the Santa Fe, it's the Vector, the Tangram Vector. Reason I got this knife is that it is a very affordable button lock knife. It's manually operated, and then you can just swing it shut with that little button there. Pretty neat. It's like $27. I mean, come on, you can't argue with that. The handles are aluminum with this really cool electric blue color and this sort of feathery kind of milling pattern in it. It's a neat knife for the money. It's not, you know, shockingly wonderful. It's just kind of like, that's cool. So actually what we're gonna have here is another C. I carry this one for work on occasion when I'm working on site, and I have to carry something kind of quiet, and that's kind of an oxymoron because the handles are bright blue. But, you know, it's not a threatening looking knife. You know, it's very kind of mild looking. It's a short blade, you know, very gradual drop. It's just not a super scary knife. So it's great for me when I need to carry on site and I don't want to freak anybody out. So C on the Tangram Vector. Okay, guys, got a good one here. This was a Grail for me, and this is also going to answer the question, does Grail automatically mean S? It should. In this case, it doesn't, but it comes pretty darn close. This is the Cold Steel Immortal in CTS XHP. The reason that I was salivating over this knife for such a long time is when it was produced in CTS XHP, I always admired it, but for some reason I never pulled the trigger. And then once Cold Steel stopped using that steel, I was like, I'm never going to be able to get an Immortal in that steel, which really bummed me out. And one day I was fortunate enough to see somebody selling one at list price, which blew my mind, because if most of y'all keep up with Cold Steel, you will know that the CTS XHP models are at a premium right now. So needless to say, I jumped on it, and I was stoked when I got it, and it is really hard to flick open, but it's a fantastic knife. The G10 handles are so cool. What's really interesting is, I believe it was Andrew Dimko that kind of applauded Mike Wallace, the designer, for being one of the first guys to come up with a folding Gladius design that he said that actually made sense.
I love that blade jet.
I do too. It's so cool. Actually it's a Tanto. Up here, this is just a false edge, but yeah, it just that Gladius look. It's like a folding sword in your pocket. So this is going to be getting an A, the Cold Steel Immortal and CTS XHP.
Okay, all right, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I can agree with that.
Okay. All right, up next, I got another Cold Steel for you guys. Needless to say, a lot of y'all probably know that I'm a big Dimco fan, and this is going to be one of my favorite Dimcos. Not in the top few ones, but it's up there. This is the Cold Steel 8015 Light. Now, when this came out, I was pretty upset because I felt like it was just an excuse for Cold Steel to drive up the price on the standard 8015s, which they did. But when I got it in hand, I was really impressed with the fact that of the 3 S35 VN 8015s that I have owned, all 3 of them had just a little bit of vertical blade play. The 8015 Light had absolutely none. No side to side either. So it seemed like the 8015 Light was their opportunity to get in there in the production and kind of iron out the little bit of snags they may have been hitting with the original 8015. So that really impressed me. This one has been pretty heavily modded. We have a purple RIT die on the G10 scales here. I made epoxy sort of marbleized caps for the pivots, for the pivot for the yoke and the pivot for the blade, in kind of this crushed grape kind of purple. I think it's really neat and it turned out really well. This one, I sometimes refer, I have 2 of these 8015s now, and one's called Daylight and one's called Midnight, so take a guess which one this is. Action on it is unbelievable. Out of all the 8015s I've owned, easily the best action, just silky smooth. So that is the 8015 Light, and it is going into the A tier.
Oh, A tier.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. Just going with my gut.
Going with the gut.
All right, guys, here's a good one. This is another work knife for me. This is the Kaiser Mini Lat Vend. Really cool front flipper, and also a standard flipper. Oddly enough, it doesn't look like it when you take your first look at it, but this little tab right here acts as your flipper tab, and once you get used to it, and it takes getting used to, but once you get a feel for it, it's so satisfying to use that flipper tab, even more so than it is to use the front flipper, which works great. So that's what I really like about it. It's just a handsome knife. It's a great gentleman knife, but it deploys so well with both opening methods. As you can see here, the color scheme on it is a bit reminiscent of everybody's favorite bounty hunter, which is one of the big reasons Walsh kind of encouraged me on picking this up.
Dog the bounty hunter?
Oh yeah, Dog, man, of course. Who else? Dog's the only bounty hunter in my book. But anyway, yeah, this has just been a really enjoyable one to carry. Now, I know I'm really praising it here. It's not S or A, but it is a B. I do carry it for work. It's probably my most carried knife when I'm working on site because, again, it's fairly quiet. It's got a deep carry clip, a very normal looking blade. So this one is going to be a B on the Kaiser Mini Lab Vend. Okay, guys, up next, let's find something really, let's see here, really funky. Okay, I'm going to open up the F for the day.
Oh.
This was a gift. Not really a gift. I was working with a buddy of mine and one of my neighbors, and we were doing something in his garage, and he found this. And at first I said, "Is that real stag on that handle?" Of course it's not, but I was intrigued. And he was like, "Oh, you can have that thing, man. I don't even want it." And I was like, "Well, who gave it to you?" He goes, "I don't even remember anymore." So this is the Foxhound Skinner. Ugly little blade, isn't it? I will say though, the ergos are interesting. I mean, it's not bad. You know, you get your finger through that index hole there, and you lock in like this. I mean, it is ready to skin stuff. Here's the problem: this steel is crap. I don't even know what it is. It's supposed to be a Damascus of some kind, but obviously you can see too that it has rusted. But I tried to clean it up. I tried to bring an edge back to it, and as I was sharpening, I could watch the burr forming on the opposite side. I've never in my life have I been able to watch a burr form so clearly. So it's really paper soft steel. It's just terrible stuff. And of course the handle's not real stag. It's just, you know, bone stag. So yeah, kind of ugly and unimpressive and weird. So yeah, that's an F for the Foxhound.
It's got an interesting story, though. So.
Ugly ass Skinner, yeah. You know what? Not a bad sheath, though. I want to highlight that sheath for a minute. It's not terrible. So, you know, if the sheath was getting a ranking, it would get a C. But yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, I got a good one here. Let's see if I can do this without hurting the camera. Oh, we're just gonna go with that. I'm afraid I'm going to cut the camera. So anyways, we have here the Kershaw Lucha, one of the most accessible and satisfying bally songs that you can get for somebody that's, you know, not your average bally song carrier. Really well made. That was what was so awesome when this knife came out. Everybody was just stunned with how well made this knife was. And it's got the looks. I've never seen scales like this on a bally song before. So that was one thing that really impressed me. I remember remarking to my dad at the time when I got it, it just looked like something that the Mandalorian might carry. As I've also said that about your Doman as well. That knife has that appearance. But yeah, just a really cool knife, 14C28 in steel, about a 4-inch blade, and just very well made. So for the Kershaw Lucha, we're gonna get a B on this one. Really great, really affordable, and I highly recommend it.
That one goes from C to A. It's pretty large.
Yeah, it's a big boy for sure. All right, y'all, we're going to stop episode 1 of ranking my knife collection right here with the Kershaw Lucha. Great knife to stop with, but stay tuned for episode 2. We're going to get into some even crazier knives, even nicer knives, and yes, more failure knives. More of that to come. So please stop by. We will see y'all there.